Hey guys, this is a great question. How do you deliver for a service we've never done before? So we've tried this several times and it's not been met with success. So I think that there's a couple of things we want to try and do differently now. So here's what we want to do. Identify the best person for the job within the team, okay? So that's the first thing you want to do. Who's the best person for the job within the team? And that will be the person who's got the most similar or adjacent experience. Number two, you want to immediately hire or immediately watch a series of training videos in the area. So you could watch, for example, you could spend half a day, so 4 hours across 2 days, so 4 hours watching courses across 2 to 3 days as an example, because you could watch 4 hours at once, but you won't retain the information. So it's better that you watch it in bits across 2 to 3 days to learn. Okay, so learn, that'd be the next thing. Um, that'd be the next thing you want to do. The thing you want to do after that, once you've watched a series of training videos in the area, is that you want to identify the best person for the job within the team, watch a series of training videos in the area, and there's a couple of people that need to watch some of these videos, which is the delivery, sorry, yeah, the delivery team, so whoever's doing the work, and then the account management. The account management team probably need to watch 50% of what the delivery team watch, because you need to know enough about the subject. So I'd still recommend watching a course or two, just so you're like, okay, this is how that works. This is how that works. Um, Now, depending upon the order, I would maybe do number two first, depending upon what it is. So probably I do number two first. I do this one first. So practical. I probably do this first, to be honest with you. So depending upon what the work is, I would play with the tool. So if you're building something or using something, then just so for example, if someone says to me, do an Etsy listing, Deepak, run this campaign, Deepak, try this. Sorry, I would try and do it immediately behind closed doors. So testing environment, you know what I mean? So practice in a testing. So I called it practical play because it doesn't necessarily need to be a testing environment. It can be a live environment. Someone says, run a PR campaign on this, so we start in a week. Why don't you try it internally for Pearl Lemon? Because you can just immediately launch the same day, because maybe there's onboarding time, there's getting to know the client, and there's preparing the materials. Whereas internally, you're like, well, fuck it, I already, let's just give this a go, give this a whirl. So there's stuff like that that you can consider, if that makes sense, when it comes to delivering for a service that you've never done before, that you can just test. So practicing in a testing environment, I think definitely is something that you could consider, because you can learn a lot just from fiddling around with things yourself instead of fiddling around with the client's work. So if you're optimizing Etsy listings, we should probably create an Etsy account for Pearl Lemon and sell some type of Pearl Lemon product, which probably isn't a bad idea, just thinking about it. But yeah, so stuff like that, we should potentially consider. I'm going to actually suggest that we set up an Etsy and eBay store and figure out what those products are, so we can test ourselves. So that's something that's going to really help. And then watching a series of training videos is definitely going to help. And then also hire a freelance consultant to advise you. So we could hire someone from eBay, some Upwork immediately. You could Google someone, and you could, pay them for an hour consult, or you could just email them saying, I've got a client, I'd love some advice if you're able to help me. Just looking for some advice on how to do it, looking for a paid consult. Can you help, type of thing, and seeing what they come back and say. And they should be, you will find someone to do it. So this is something that we didn't really ever do before, which was number four. And number two and number four are probably the things that we should have done that I'd recommend that we've not done historically. The other option, of course, is to outsource it, white label. But then I'm not always a fan of this because the IP doesn't stay within the company and you don't learn as much. So, but it is an option depending upon the complexity of the campaign. And you might, when you're looking at number 4, ask them if they've got the ability to do number 5. So start with number 4 and say, look, could you take over? And they say, look, I can help you. If you want me to take over? I can take over. We can do either. So that's probably the best bet. So, and then you have your list of freelancers, resources, outsourcers that you can refer to. So following these 5 steps, you should be fine. And then the other thing is to give yourself time with the client. So so what I mean by that is that, when we talked about how to price something you never pitched before, and it's important to talk about the complexity of service and all of the steps involved. You should really amplify that, so you give yourself or allow yourself time to deliver, which also builds in then time to learn. So make sure that it's known to the account manager and or the sales professional that, typically people say this can be delivered, for example, in 1 week, but tell the client that you need 3 weeks. So you have 1 week of just learning and testing. So then you can begin the client's work week number 2. And then it might take you 2 weeks instead of 1 because you're new to it. So giving yourself time to deliver and building in a significant buffer is really important. But we've been guilty of this as a business. Maintaining regular dialogue with the client always and showing them some proof of work is massively important. So you can still start, for example, if you have a testing environment where you create a account, you can go ahead and create the account for the client and then show them that, a couple of days later. So you can still show some proof of work, but just do it in fragments whilst you're really aggressively playing practical play in the testing environment to figure out exactly what you're doing. So these are the 7 steps I think that you can engage upon to deliver for a service we've never done before. And then number 8 is Claude PL. So recording training videos for that platform once you've achieved mastery over that platform. As soon as you figured your way around it, it's going to be really helpful because then we'll have internal IP and it also really helps you learn. So this would be something you do at the end, or if you've got time during the campaign, because you learn when you teach, of course. So teaching it to somebody else is how you really effectively learn as well. And of course, that's what I'm trying to do with these videos as well, because I'm also learning as a consequence of teaching. So you can, build training videos such as this, the ugly baby, let it out of the pram, see it stumble and stutter, but it will walk. And that's what you can do when it comes to the training videos. So there you go. These are the 8 steps to deliver for a service we've never done before.